Going to give you a little cheeky little tip now. This is something that was taught to me when I was doing my A-levels, and it's something that just seems to have stuck with me for a while. It's kind of attached to Stanislavsky, but it's not Stanislavsky. I'll just explain what the idea is, and then you can kind of come up with your own kind of take on it if you want, and we can discuss this within class time. A guy called Michael Chekhov, who was related to the famous playwright Antonin Chekhov. I think I've got that name right. He was Chekhov essentially was writing very naturalistic plays. So he was writing plays specifically to be performed by Stanislavskian trained actors. So all of the characters within the plays had kind of deep psychological truths. You could really work into them from a psychological level, from an actor's point of view, and you can apply all of those Stanislavskian techniques that we've been discussing. Michael Chekhov came up with this idea called a psychological gesture. Now, what this essentially means is, say for example, I am trying to get into character and I need to do it very, very quickly. I'm making this up by the way, so this might not be the best example. I'm playing an old man, and this old man has got he's a nervous character, and he one of his kind of mannerisms, one of his little quirks that he does is that he rubs his hands together like that whenever he's thinking about anything or whenever he's worried. Now, Michael Chekhov would call that a psychological gesture. So it's a gesture that indicates the psychology of the character at that moment. What he suggested was, as a really quick and easy way to get into character just before a performance, was that you create either one or a series of what he calls these psychological gestures to help get you into character very quickly. So if I've already done all of that Stanislavsky stuff, like I've thought about the inner truths of my old character and why he's worried and the things that make him worried, and then what I've done then is I've thought about like the objectives of the character and all that other stuff, and bringing out the subtext of the scene, and all that other ridiculous amount of stuff that Stanislavsky's written about. I keep getting the name wrong. Michael Chekhov said that if you just kind of distill that character down into a couple, maybe just one gesture, that will help you as an actor to get into character. So I'm about to go onto the stage. I know that I'm playing this kind of old, worried character. Before I go on stage, I just take a quiet moment, stood at the side of the stage, about to come on, and I'll think in my head, this is my character, and then I'll do the psychological gesture. I'll rub my hands together, and then I'll just feel that emotion that's kind of coming up from doing that. And then when that emotion's feeling real in my head, and when I've got that physicality ready, that's when I'm going to go onto the stage. So that is Michael Chekhov's psychological gesture. It's sort of related to Stanislavsky, but it's not a specifically Stanislavskian idea. You can use this and you can refer to this in your written work. Specifically, you can refer to it when you're talking about how you approached your devised work, or in many cases actually how you approached your scripted work, which is part of what you do for your evaluation in year 13. So you need to be considering this, really, these kind of little quirky kind of acting ideas in year 12 and into year 13, and this is really, really going to help you. So psychological gestures, remember it, find a gesture for your character that really sums them up, get it in your head just before you're going to go on stage, take it in, do the gesture, it should help you get into the role, and then you go for it. There's my top acting tip of the day. Don't you worry, you YouTubers, there will be more to follow. Bow! Oh.